This year's Anzac Day will be the first since Australia withdrew from Afghanistan in July of last year. It had been a 20-year military commitment to the war-torn country that claimed 41 ADF members' lives.
Yes, the veterans of that conflict will be amongst the thousands of other ADF personnel who will be honoured, remembered and thanked for their services tomorrow. Joining us now is Sarah Watson, Chair of the Young Veterans Committee. Sarah, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
I'm interested in your story because at a time when a lot of young people finishing high school are putting on a backpack and going to Europe, you put on a backpack of a sort of a khaki green variety and went straight into the army. What possessed you?
That's right, John, I did. I went straight from Year 12 to the Australian Defence Force Academy. I had three grandparents who served in the military, all served in World War II. And I suppose there was a bit of a tradition to uphold in my family. My brother also served in the military. He's 2 years older than me. He did a 20-year career in the army.
And of course, you joined in the late 1990s and you graduated really just before the world dramatically changed after a sort of a generation of relative peace, apart from the intervention in Kuwait, I suppose, in 1991. And then suddenly Australia's at war for 2 decades. How did that affect your life?
Yes, correct, John. I think my dad really encouraged me to join the military because we'd experienced such a long time of peace, and I think he felt it was a safe career choice. And then as I was graduating year, Royal Military College, Timor commenced, and then a year later, 9/11 occurred and we were finding ourselves overseas in Afghanistan straight away. So, yeah, it was a big career to take on as a young woman, and but I proudly did it. I was proud to wear the uniform, and I loved serving my country.
Can you give us a bit of an idea as to what that involved? Because I see words like military intelligence. Are you allowed to tell me what you were doing in places like Iraq?
I was posted there alongside the combat battle group. I was sort of attached as a specialist to provide that top secret conduit back to from Australia and our allied nations to our troops on the ground. Without that intelligence, we wouldn't have the full picture of what was going on, and we needed to make sure we were not sending our troops out into harm's way and making sure that they were taking the safest routes possible. I probably can't expand on that, but yeah, it was probably a pretty important role to have.
Did that burden of responsibility play on you? It's one thing to be sort of out there in the field yourself where you can make lots of decisions and take precautions, but if you're the one sending them down this path, hypothetically speaking, that pressure must have kind of a wear on you after a while.
Oh, it was a huge amount of stress and pressure. I was one of two people.
Let's see if we can get that line to come back up. Hopefully a little bit of buffering and we'll be able to hear Sarah a bit better. What a shame we're hearing about her experiences there in Iraq. It sounds like we may be able to get Sarah back. The internet's come good. We've got you again, Sarah. So you're just telling us about how it was just you and one other person performing this role with all that responsibility and the stresses that it had.
Yeah, there were long days and there was a very sort of huge amount of pressure to not get the wrong picture. So we had to make sure that we were analysing the information correctly and drawing on all sources of intelligence to get an overall picture. Yeah, it was a lot of stress. I came back pretty fried, to be honest.
What did that mean in terms of your life? Being fried, a decade in service, that kind of extraordinary pressure, and then suddenly you're back in Australia. Did you think of leaving the service altogether?
Yeah, I did. I actually got back from Iraq. I was quite withdrawn from my family, and I actually put in my discharge papers because I thought I actually wasn't cut out for that sort of intense deployment situation. So I actually ended up taking leave without pay for 18 months instead, and compartmentalised everything that had occurred in Iraq. I didn't think about it. I didn't want to. It was too confronting, I think, for me. So yeah, I did actually not deal with my issues. I think I brought home. So, and I think that's not an uncommon theme amongst modern day veterans, especially, or all veterans, because sometimes it's just too much to think and take in the magnitude of a warlike environment or war conflict.
Yeah, and yet you've gone from strength to strength since then, including an association with the armed forces as well as the RSL. I wonder, Anzac Day tomorrow for you, what will you be doing? What will you be thinking about?
I love Anzac Day. It's just such a reflective, special day for us all as Australians to really take stock of what it all means and how much sacrifice has occurred throughout the generations back from, when Australia first was established. And I think, we just really have to stop and remember those who've all laid down their lives in service of our nation. And I've got friends who haven't who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I've had friends who've taken their lives because of the inability to process what they've been through or seen. So I think it's a day for us all to really stop and remember the cost of war and what it's meant and how we've defined ourselves as a nation.
Thank you for your time this morning, Sarah Watson, and thank you for your service as well.
Thank you very much, John. Have a great day.